A legacy of hate. The Ku Klux Klan's origins. The Ku Klux Klan, or KKK, is a white supremacist hate group with deep roots in American history. Founded in 1865 in Pulaski, Tennessee, the Klan emerged during Reconstruction. This era saw significant changes as formerly enslaved African Americans were granted citizenship and voting rights. The Klan's formation was a response to these changes, fueled by white Southerners' resentment. From its inception, the Klan aimed to maintain white supremacy and undermine Reconstruction progress. The group's ideology centered on white Protestant superiority. They viewed black enfranchisement as a threat and used violence to restore white dominance. Reconstruction and retaliation. The Klan's reign of terror. The Reconstruction era, from 1865 to 1877, marked a pivotal period in American history. The nation grappled with the aftermath of the Civil War and integrating formerly enslaved people into society. For Black Americans, it was a time of hope and immense struggle. They navigated newfound freedoms amidst the rise of white supremacist backlash. The Ku Klux Klan emerged as a formidable force seeking to suppress black empowerment and restore white dominance through terror. The Klan's reign of terror targeted black Americans exercising their new rights. Black churches, centers of community and political organizing were frequent targets. Schools and businesses were also vandalized or destroyed to stifle progress. The Klan's message was clear. Any attempt by black Americans to achieve equality would be met with brutal reprisal. One of the Klan's most insidious tactics was suppressing black voting rights. They understood political power was essential for black Americans to secure freedoms. The Klan employed violence, intimidation, and economic coercion to discourage black citizens from voting. Instruments of fear. The Klan's tactics of intimidation. The Ku Klux Klan's reign of terror relied heavily on instilling fear in their victims, and they employed a variety of tactics to achieve this goal. Their methods were often brutal and inhumane, designed to terrorize entire communities and discourage any form of resistance. Lynching, the extrajudicial killing of an individual by a mob, became synonymous with the Klan's brutality. Black Americans suspected of violating social norms, challenging white authority, or even associating with white people were often targeted for lynching. Cross burnings, another hallmark of the Klan's reign of terror, were used to intimidate black families and assert white dominance. The burning cross, a symbol of hate and intolerance, served as a chilling reminder of the Klan's power and their willingness to resort to violence. These cross burnings were often held near the homes of their intended victims, amplifying the terror they sought to instill. Beyond physical violence, the Klan utilized psychological warfare to maintain their grip on power. They spread rumors and misinformation, often accusing black men of crimes they did not commit to sow discord and justify their actions. The Klan also employed economic coercion, boycotting businesses owned by black citizens or those who supported racial equality. This tactic aimed to cripple the economic livelihoods of their opponents and maintain the existing racial hierarchy. A resurgence of hate. The Klan's revival in the 20th century. While the Klan's influence waned in the late 19th century, largely due to government crackdowns and internal divisions, the group experienced a resurgence in the early 20th century. This revival was fueled by a confluence of factors, including widespread anti-immigrant sentiment, the release of the controversial film The Birth of a Nation, which glorified the Klan's role in the South after the Civil War, and anxieties stemming from World War I and its aftermath. The Klan's revival in the 1920s saw the group expand its targets beyond black Americans. They now directed their hatred toward Catholics, Jews, immigrants, and anyone they deemed un-American. This broadened scope reflected the anxieties of a nation undergoing rapid social and cultural changes. The Klan capitalized on these anxieties, positioning themselves as defenders of traditional values and white Protestant dominance. This second wave of Klan activity was marked by a more sophisticated approach to recruitment and organization. The Klan presented itself as a fraternal organization, emphasizing patriotism, morality, and Americanism. They held rallies and parades, attracting new members through a combination of fear-mongering and appeals to white solidarity. The Klan's membership swelled during this period, with chapters springing up across the country, not just in the South. Section 5. The Greensboro Massacre, a tragic testament to Klan violence. The Greensboro Massacre, a horrific act of violence that unfolded on November 3, 1979, stands as a stark reminder of the persistent threat posed by the Ku Klux Klan and other white supremacist groups. On that day, a group of Communist Workers' Party members organized an anti-Klan demonstration in Greensboro, North Carolina. The demonstrators, who were advocating for workers' rights and social justice, were met by a heavily armed caravan of Klan members and neo-Nazis. The confrontation quickly turned deadly as the Klan members and their allies opened fire on the demonstrators. 5 demonstrators were killed and several others were injured in the hail of gunfire. The victims, who were all white, were targeted for their political beliefs and their opposition to the Klan's ideology of hate. The Greensboro Massacre sent shockwaves across the nation, highlighting the deadly consequences of unchecked extremism. It also exposed the complicity of local law enforcement, who had been aware of the Klan's plans but failed to take adequate measures to protect the demonstrators. The massacre served as a tragic reminder that the fight for social justice and equality continued, and that the threat of white supremacist violence remained a very real danger. Section 6. Beyond the South. The Klan's reach into the Midwest. While the Ku Klux Klan is often associated with the southern United States, the group's reach extended far beyond the Mason-Dixon line. In the early 20th century, the Klan gained a significant foothold in Midwestern states like Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio, capitalizing on social anxieties and promoting their message of hate. The Klan's appeal in the Midwest was rooted in a combination of factors, including anti-immigrant sentiment, particularly towards Catholics and Jews, and fears of social change brought about by urbanization and industrialization. The Klan positioned itself as a defender of traditional American values, exploiting religious and cultural tensions to recruit new members. The Klan's presence in the Midwest was marked by violence and intimidation, much like in the South. They targeted black communities, immigrants, and anyone they deemed a threat to their vision of a white Protestant America. The Klan's activities in the Midwest serve as a reminder that the fight against hate and intolerance knows no geographical boundaries. Section 7. The Enduring Legacy. The Klan's Impact on American Society. The Ku Klux Klan's long and violent history has left an indelible mark on American society. Their legacy of hate, terror, and oppression continues to cast a shadow over the nation, serving as a stark reminder of the dangers of prejudice, discrimination, and unchecked bigotry. The Klan's actions have resulted in countless acts of violence, leaving behind a trail of trauma and injustice that continues to affect generations. The Klan's ideology of white supremacy has fueled systemic racism and inequality in the United States, the effects of which are still felt today. Their legacy is evident in the racial disparities that persist in areas like education, healthcare, housing, and criminal justice. The Klan's history serves as a reminder of the fragility of democracy and the constant need to safeguard the rights of all citizens. Acknowledging and learning from the Klan's history of hate is crucial to understanding the roots of racism and bigotry in America. By confronting this dark chapter in the nation's past, we can work towards creating a more just and equitable society for all. Section 8. Combating Hate. The fight against the Klan's ideology. Throughout history, countless individuals and organizations have courageously stood up to the Ku Klux Klan, challenging their ideology of hate and fighting for justice and equality. From the Reconstruction era to the Civil Rights Movement and beyond, activists, community leaders, and everyday citizens have risked their lives to combat the Klan's reign of terror and dismantle their systems of oppression. Civil rights organizations like the NAACP, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and the Anti-Defamation League have played a crucial role in exposing the Klan's activities, advocating for legislation and providing support to targeted communities. Their tireless efforts have helped to dismantle the Klan's power and advance the cause of civil rights. Education, awareness and continued vigilance are essential in combating the Klan's ideology and preventing its resurgence. By understanding their history, tactics and the dangers of their beliefs, we can work to create a more inclusive and just society for all. The fight against hate is an ongoing one, requiring constant effort and unwavering commitment to the principles of equality, justice and human dignity.